Now we're going to do searches. So with searches, you can interrogate your data. You can ask questions to your data. You see the search tab here. In NVivo, those are called queries. So queries are the questions that you ask to your data. How to run these? Therefore, we should go up to the tabs here on top, and we go to the Explore tab. We have different types of queries here. I'm now going to talk about text search, word frequency, and coding queries. The matrix coding is already a very advanced type of query and the cross tab as well. And here you have maps, which are visual representations, which also allow you to organize your ID to draw connections between different parts of your project. So I'm going to concentrate on those three now. And let's start by doing a text search. So a text search is actually a simple keyword search. So we click on text search. And we're going to search in our files. You first specify the places where NVivo has to look for these keywords you're going to define. So you can either search in all files and externals, or you can search in selected items. So you can even search in your memos or in your notes. But I here want to search in my files, articles by international organizations, yes, but I actually want to include journal articles and newspaper articles as well. So I can tick all those boxes, click OK, and search for my keyword. Let's search for government. Another criteria you can specify here is whether you want the exact word or whether you also want to include stamped words like governments or governmental or synonyms, etc. Let's include the stamped words as well. And now you have to run it. So you can here run the query. We get 6 results, which means that in 6 files, the word government has been found. Yeah. First of all, in order not to lose these criteria I set for my query, I can add my query to the project. You see this button here, add to the project. If you click on it, you're going to add the query itself. So the question you have asked, you add it to the program, you store it so that in a later stage you can run it again. For instance, you have run the query at a very early stage in your research. You have gathered many more data, imported many more files since, and you want to run the same query again. So then it can be practical to store this query. So we're going to call it government. Okay. Let's open the first one. So now if you open these files, you can see that the keyword is highlighted in yellow. And so this is a very easy way. If you know what you're looking for, it's an easy way to search for, in this case, information on government. And remember that we had an assumption that the way in which the government handles the crisis might impact the outcome in terms of poverty reduction or poverty increase. And so we have a code for this, so we can use this as a step towards coding. So let's take these sentences here, the travel ban. Okay, let's take the information about the travel ban. So this is about the government response. So we can now use this to directly code this content. If we right click on this, right click, and we go to code, we had government response previously created as a node, so we can click on it and click OK. But this is actually also information about China. And we had China as a case. So right click again. We have made China as a case where we want to store all the information that says something about China. So I'm going to code this at the case China as well. So I can now close this. And open the query again to go back to the results. Because apart from adding your query to the project, you can also save the results as such. So if you think that the result or the outcome of this query can also be a meaningful element in the project, can be a node as such or a case as such, you can save the results as a new node or a new case. Or you can merge them into an existing code or case. But we don't have a node yet for government as such. We have one for government response. So let's say we want to create one for government as well. So we name it government, we click OK. And so now under query results, which is a folder that you can find here in the navigation bar on the left. So under query results, you will find government now. And if you look at the content of this, as you see, it gathers all the incidences of the word government in all the different files. Although looking at this, it just provides you the keyword with a couple of words before and after. So it doesn't really give you the context, which means that it might not be useful or meaningful as such. You might need to go back to the original files in order to understand what this really is about. But it can be one way in which you can create or come to new nodes. So this is a text search query. Let's go back to our Explore tab to explore a second type of query, the word frequency query. So click on word frequency. This allows you to retrieve the most frequently used words in either all your files or in selected items again. So say I want to look at the words that are frequently used in newspaper articles. So I click on newspaper article. Okay. As a default, it gives me the 1,000 most frequent, but I think that's a lot. So let's go for the 20 most frequent words. And then it allows you to specify a minimum length for the word so that you exclude the very short, like A and. So let's keep that at 3 and let's run the query. So you can again run it. And if you want, you can add it to the project so that all the criteria that you specified here will be stored. And there we go. We have a list of the words that are most frequently used in newspaper articles. In this case, we only have one newspaper article, but you will have more, obviously. And this can be interesting. It can give you an indication of the concepts that are important. Although the aim, of course, is not quantifying in this type of research. The aim is not to say that, okay, the number of times that this word is being used is a proof that this term is important. No, it's just an indication that the term is important. So you would need to do further analysis to see in what context this is used, what the meaning is, how the context is of the use of these particular terms. So if we look at these, there's some words like what we have, like many here, that do not really add a lot of content to our analytical questions. So these words, you can exclude them from the word frequency. How do we do that? We right click, and here as the last option, you have add to stop words list. So stop words means words that will not be included in the word frequency query. You can add this. You can actually add several ones. So we have less here, we have now. So let's select both of those. So you hold the control button and you select both these words. You right click, you add to the stop words list. Okay. Now they're still there. So in order for this stop word list to be taken into account, you need to run the query again. So you need to press here again on run query. And it gives you this list. Now a nice feature here is that you can have this summary view, so just a list of the words. But if you go to the right here of your screen, you can also make a very nice word cloud, which you can then, as you see here on top, still change the layout. You can have a map, kind of tree map like this, or a cluster analysis. Okay, this is not working for this query. So that's the word frequency. Let's now go to the third type of query. So we go back to explore. Coding query. Okay. Under coding query, you can ask questions that combine different items in your project. For instance, you can retrieve content that has been coded simultaneously at poverty rate and at government. Or you can retrieve content that has been coded at poverty rate, but only in particular cases. So let's say we want to know what has been said about poverty rate in cases where the impact of COVID has been low. I can ask this question because these are criteria that I have stipulated before. Remember when we made the case, we have created attributes, COVID impact, and we have assigned values to this attribute. COVID impact could be high, medium, or low. So now I can look for content that is coded at. So we are here, coded at. If we want to specify specific attributes of a case, we have to select any case where. So coded at any case where we're looking for countries where the COVID impact was low, right? So any case where the COVID impact equals value low. Yeah. And then we want to look for the node, so the content that we have coded at poverty rate. So we're going to specify a second criteria here. So we click on the plus, second criteria. So all selected codes. And then we select the code, poverty rate. If you want to look for content that has been coded at poverty rate and government response, for instance, then you can also select both of them. And so this here, all selected codes of case, means that it's going to take both as a criterion. So only when content has been created at both nodes, it will be taken into account. You can also use the OR operator. So this would be the AND operator. Yeah? We have both conditions have to be met. If you want the OR, so one or the other condition is met, and you can select here any selected code or case. So then you will include everything in your search. Yeah. So we have now defined our criteria. Now you run the query, and we have a result. So this is what is said about the poverty rate in the case of countries with a low COVID impact. So again, if you have done a full analysis of all the files, you have coded everything, you will have several results here. And so this will allow you to draw conclusions on this aspect, on this question you have been asking. So instead of any case where, you could, for instance, specify another criteria here. You could say, okay, I want to look at the case of Indonesia. I want to look at what has been said about poverty rate in the case of Indonesia. So then you only take Indonesia here, and then here you would select only poverty rate. You run the query again, and there you have the result. Again, you can save the results here, or you can add the query as such to your project. So as I said, there's still more advanced tools for doing this kind of analysis, but the coding query already gives you very interesting possibilities to explore your data further.